Erev Tov to everybody. I'd like to, first of all, thank Leah and Dr. Shaya Safin for sponsoring this short Dvar Torah. There's a couple of reasons for the sponsorship. First of all, it's for the Yotzat of Dr. Shaya's father, Getzel David ben Aaron Shlomo, that his neshama should have an Aliyah B'Gan Eden, amongst other things, b'schut of the dedication of this video. And also, it's on a happier note. Also, there's the birthday of Leah and of their son Yoshua Menachem. That you should have a lot of mazal tov and nachas, and from all the family, and that you should be zochet to have a lot of simcha, all of you together. There's, that Rav Kook had like a short essays, and these short essays were called Meged Rachim. They were little statements, short statements that Rav Kook said about every one of the months, and they encapsulated and they captured to a large degree what the essence of the month was. So when it came to the month of Iyar, he said that the dominant figure of Iyar is, of course, the Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva. Okay, we know that that's why we do that during this time. We, as a state of mourning because of the Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva that passed away. But when mentioning the Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva, he says, he records their courage, and that their courage is connected to the courage of the communities in the Middle Ages, Speyer, Worms, Bagenza, those three major cities in Ashkenaz, which were attacked during the month of Iyar by the Crusaders, and that they died and they gave up their lives al Kiddush Hashem. That's the other connection, and he says, but the connection between the heroism of the Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva and the courage and the heroism of the Jews in the medieval times who gave up their lives in Kiddush Hashem, what connected them also was the spirit. And this part of the statement is a little bit obscure. I think it needs like a lot of study, but it's through the secrets and the courage of Rab Shimon Bar Yochai, the author of the Zohar, who also his Yotzat is on Lag BaOmer. So he connects everything. And of course, we know that it's a very well-known explanation. Everyone says this explanation, that generally Iyar is all about initiative. The zodiacal sign of Nisan is a sheep, and that's how the Jewish people were, and they were led out of Egypt, like HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in a way of sheep. But then comes the month of Iyar. The month of Iyar, the zodiacal sign is Taurus, the proverbial like a bull in a china shop. In other words, that it's like totally independent, sometimes to the point of being reckless in a shop. And that's what, if we look in the Torah, in fact, what is the first thing that is mentioned in the month of Iyar is in the book of Bamidbar. It says that in the second year, in the second month, that's when the Jewish people left Har Sinai and started their trek and their advancement to Eretz Yisrael. That's when also later on in the Tanakh, in the Nevi'im, in Malachim, we know that the foundations of the first temple were laid down on Iyar, and the foundations and the return of Ezra of the second temple was also in Iyar. So Iyar is all about initiative, about heroism, about courage. That is what is all about. So, but what I wanted to share, though, having said that, and spoken about the Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva, I wanted to add on something else, which is more like, not only are we challenged during this time to take initiative and to be courageous, but not to make the mistake that was at the time of the Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva. So I want to let's go back to what the Rambam in the Lords of Melachim, at the end of his book, the Rambam speaks about what happened with Bar Kokhba. So first of all, the Rambam says that Rabbi Akiva thought that Bar Kokhba was the Mashiach, and he supported, therefore, his revolt against the Romans. And we have sources in the Midrashim that the Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva, obviously, if their Rov and their Rebbe supported Bar Kokhba, so Vadai, they took part also in the wars of against Bar Kokhba, and initially they were tremendously successful. And then the Rambam says that Bar Kokhba was defeated, he was killed, and then they knew that they got to know, Rabbi Akiva got to know that he wasn't Mashiach. Now it's very, very interesting to note the language of the Rambam. The Rambam didn't say that Rabbi Akiva made a mistake. He says once there was a failure, and Bar Kokhba himself was killed, then they knew that what the assumption, which they were entitled, not only entitled, that they had to presume that he was a Mashiach in potential. So then it turned out that he wasn't. But the Rambam doesn't say, again, I emphasize, he doesn't use the language that he made a mistake. It says they now knew once he died that he wasn't the Mashiach. So what transpires is it's actually a very tragic and in a way very challenging for us, that it seems that the reason that we mourn during this time for the Talmidim of Akiva is we are mourning because there was a chance to bring a Mashiach. There was a tremendous potential for Mashiach to come. And in fact, Bar Kokhba was a potential Mashiach, and then it failed. And the Rambam says, why did it fail? He doesn't say, again, I emphasize a third time, not that Rabbi Akiva made a mistake. The Rambam says it failed because of the avonot, because of sin. If we tie that with what the Talmud says, that the Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva, even though they participated in the revolt, they weren't noheg kavod one to the other. There was within the revolt, there was friction between the various sections of Rabbi Akiva's Talmidim. Then we can understand the full impact of the tragedy and why we mourn during this time of Sfirat HaOmer. It's because an opportunity was lost. There was a process in history in which the Mashiach could come. And now, because of the disunity and because of the friction within the Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva, so then that process, that tahalich, which had held so much promise, which was initially so successful, that it collapsed. So that is the message. The message is that we also in not a similar situation in which we started off being attacked with initially tremendous amount of success, and now 6 months later, again, the Jewish people showing such tremendous, our holy soldiers showing so much heroism. But then there's the call for every one of us that somehow that to not only to be like as we are in Eir, to show courage and to show determination, but also to remember that not to make the mistake that the friction within, again, the camp of Rabbi Akiva itself, that they brought about a process that held in its wake so much promise, so much optimism, a rebellion against the Romans. There was already coins of redemption, and then it stopped. So, Bezat Hashem, that we'll all be mitchazek, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will help us that our Ola Chatufim should come back l'shalom, and to their families, and that Am Yisrael should be successful both on a spiritual and on the physical, the material level. We should defeat our enemies and that we should be victorious. Shabbat Shalom Lakulam.